All right, we're going to talk now about unlike denominators. Remember, that means when they're not the same. So in a problem like 1/2 plus 1/3, with unlike denominators, the first thing we need to do is make them alike. Most of the time, we're going to do that by multiplying the two denominators together to make my least common denominator. It's not always true, but it's the most frequent version of this that we see. So we're going to make common denominators the same as we always did. So 2 times 3 gives me a common denominator of 6. To make that 6 in the denominator, I needed to take and multiply by this 1. Remember, 3 over 3 is a 1. So we're going to change that to 3/6 plus, I need to multiply by 2 over 2, or unsimplify this fraction. So plus 2. And now I can do everything I've been doing before. So I can add straight across now. 5/6. So we made a common denominator, then we added across. So the nice part is that these first two problems, they really use that common denominator of 2 and 3. So we know that the common denominator is going to be 6. So let's go ahead and write it down. Common denominator will be 6. And to make that common denominator, I had to do 2 times 3, which means I also have to multiply the numerator, right? I'm unsimplifying, so I divided them both. Now I need to put it back in so that I have 6. 3 times x is 3x. Don't forget to distribute in a negative or whatever it is here in front. So I needed to multiply by 2 over 2. So I have plus 2x. So that now I combine my like terms and I end up with 5x over 6. And now I could have a fraction, so I should follow my simplifying rules. Let's do an example that has an expression in the numerator. I'm going to leave these ones that have a common denominator of 6. I'm going to leave that for you to work on your own. Let's go ahead and look at number 3. In question number 3, we have to start with what is the common denominator? And in this case, the common denominator is going to be 10. Because if I just simply take the denominator of 5 and multiply by 2, now this numerator is still a quantity, so we can still put those parentheses in because we're undistributing. Remember, we had undistributed that 2 so we could simplify it out, but now we're putting it back in. It was there, and we're putting it back. So my common denominator was 10. Do you see that distributive property? 4x plus 6. It's not a negative, it's not a subtraction, so I can plus x minus 6. When I combine like terms, I end up with 4x plus 1x, that's 5x. Positive 6 and negative 6 give me a 0. The common denominator is 10, and now that it's a fraction, I can simplify. 5 over 10 becomes 1/2, so x, or 1x, over 2 is my final answer. Why don't you go ahead and give these problems a try? Come back and check your work. I think it will be very beneficial to you to try numbers 2, 4, 5, and 6. Notice that 4, 5, and 6 are subtraction problems, so you're going to need to distribute those negatives. So 2, 4, 5, and 6, then come back and check your work. Welcome back. I hope that you're checking over your work. I want to point out a couple of common errors. The first is here in number 5. When you have a negative times a negative, don't forget to make that a positive value. So that we ended up with a positive 8, and then combined like terms. And in number 6, that was probably the only one that I left you that didn't have 6 as the common denominator. And so in this problem, you just had a common denominator of 15. So just make sure you didn't accidentally make it a 6 when you weren't supposed to. So that would probably be the only other common mistake. And again, a negative times a negative to get a positive in that numerator. It's getting late, so I'm going to call it a night. But I know I'm going to divide this up into 3 separate videos. So we did one with common denominators that are numbers. The next one will have just a product. So like numbers 7 and 8, where you have 2x and 3x and 5x, where you have that as a common denominator. And then the third video will be one where we have to have quantities in our denominator. So there will be 3 videos tonight.